Well, hello there, ladies and gents. I'm Tammy Sipnewski, and thank you so much for popping by my channel. In this video, I want to teach you guys how to do the Swish transition in LumaFusion. And it's the one where, you know, everything looks like it's moving together and gliding. Basically, a beautiful, soft transition. I've been seeing this commercial all over YouTube for cinema vlog effects, and it's their transition pack. So one of the transitions that I'm going to teach to you in this particular video is going to be a transition that is duplicating their transition. I just watched their commercial and I saw how the transition took effect, and I'm like, oh, I could do that easy in LumaFusion. But what I also noticed with their transitions, they're not just dropping their transitions on video clips, they're also utilizing video clips that already have in-camera transitions. So what an in-camera transition is, you're using the movement of your camera. This way, in editing, when you go to bring two clips together, that transition is going to be a lot smoother because you're already having movement within your camera while you're getting your video footage. If you're like me and use a gimbal a lot when you're out there getting video, you know, it's going to be very hard to do these types of things, especially a whip pan transition with a gimbal, because gimbals are not very responsive. You know, you can move your wrist very quickly, but the gimbal's kind of just gonna get there when it gets there. This is why in Hollywood they don't use gimbals. They use steady cams that are mounted to the cameramen. This way, if they're filming a fight scene or an action scene and they have to whip that camera around, it's very responsive. The camera's going to be right where it needs to be instead of waiting for a gimbal to slowly turn into place. Well, hello down there. I moved the camera a little bit, widen the angle. You know, sometimes I don't always explain myself very well, so I thought instead of telling you about in-camera transitions, I would show you what I mean. I'm gonna go ahead and get some video footage of my coffee cup here. What I'm gonna do is get two sets. I'm gonna get one where I'm using the in-camera transitions, and then the next set, I'll just go ahead and gather regular video clips. This way you guys can see the difference between the two. It's gonna be a big difference. Now, I know I said I'd never use a lavalier microphone again, but in this particular instance, I think you guys can forgive me because I'm on the move here. So what I wanna do is I'm in manual focus, make sure that everything is in focus. The very first clip that I'm going to get of the coffee cup, I am going to go up high. I'm going to hit record, and now I'm going to swipe down. Swipe down again. So whenever you're filming these different video clips, there should be a little bit of consistency with your camera movements. So I came down from the top, and then I swished out from the bottom when I ended the clip. So what I want to do is come down from the top again, but this time I'm going to move out from a different direction, let's say the left. Okay, so being that I swished out from the left, I want to come in from the left again. Okay, so the last movement, I went up from the top, so what I want to do is come in from the bottom this time. So how I ended the video sequence was I went very close to the black part of my cup and kind of just turned the camera in. Once again, movement with the camera, moving the camera around, ending the video footage that way. And this really is going to work a lot better. So if you guys remember now, in that commercial, they have motorcycles driving around the desert at very high rates of speed. They're taking corners, kicking up sand. It's easy to make something look good whenever you're filming something very action-packed. But when you're filming something that's dormant, let's say like an object, that's a little different. So let's go ahead and just gather some regular video clips of my coffee cup so that we can see the difference between the two when you're using in-camera movement as opposed to just regular video footage. Okay, so let's go ahead and drop this footage into the iPad to show you guys what I mean. By the way, just so you guys know, I've opted to keep the Boya wireless lavalier microphone. You know, I think it gives a good clear signal, and I know that it dropped away from the signal when I walked away from the camera, but when am I ever going to be that far away from the camera? Never. I edited a few of those video clips just to show you when you're adding the transition along with the editing process, it makes it even look a lot nicer, a lot smoother. So let's go ahead and show you how the swish transition is done. All right, so go ahead and pick the two different video clips that you want to work with and transition together. Make sure you do all of your color correction and color editing before you begin any cuts. So you drop the two different clips onto your timeline, and what we're going to do now is cut out 10 frames from each clip. 10 from the end of your first clip and 10 from the beginning of your very next clip. Okay, so we'll double click on the first one to get to that edit window. Make sure we're all the way over to the very beginning, and we are going to be at frame and fit. Okay, so what we're going to be doing here is stretching these two video clips out and then bringing them back together. So what I want to do is I'm going to drop a keyframe right at the very beginning. Now we're going to hit the right arrow and get it all the way to the end. So what we're going to do here is make it larger but on the y-axis. And we're going to bring the end of this all the way up to the very top. So now let's go to Color and Effects and hit the left arrow to make sure we're all the way back to the beginning. Let's go to the water drop, and we are going to go to the swish movement. Swish 3 I'm choosing. So we want to be all the way down to 0 for the very beginning of this. So what we want to do is drop our very first keyframe there. We're going to go to the end, and we are going to make sure that this swish is going to be coming in at a 90-degree angle. And we're going to pull this out to 100%. Okay, so let's go to the very next clip. Now we're doing everything that we did in that other clip, but in the reverse. So let's go to Frame and Fit, and we are going to move this out on the y-axis very large. And we're going to drop our very first keyframe there. We're going to go all the way to the end. And we're going to zero everything out by hitting that icon right there, and that brings everything to 0. So let's go to Color and Effects, and now we're going to add that same swish movement. We want that to be at a 90-degree angle. Make sure we're all the way back to the very beginning. We're going to drop our very first keyframe there. Now go to the end. We're going to drop this down all the way to 0. And let's see how this looks. Perfect. So right now, this was done with a 10 frame cut. So with this particular method, you can use this with a shorter amount of frames, or you could use this with a longer amount of frames. It just depends on what particular video clip that you happen to be using this with, the action that's going on inside of the video itself. So let's have a look at this if we were to make this significantly shorter. So let's go ahead, and we're just going to cut these out for time's sake to make this as short as possible. We're just going to cut those out, and we're going to count just 5 frames back. Let's see how this works with 5 frames. Once again, I'm going to drop my first keyframe there, go to the end, just make this larger on the Y. And that is with a 5-frame difference. So it depends on how long you want to make this transition. If you want to make it very long and drawn out, you can. And if you want to make it shorter, you absolutely can. All right, guys. Well, that was... And that is what I refer to as the swish transition. If you have any questions or requests for future videos, please leave them in the comment section below. I do try to always answer my comments and get back to you just as soon as I can. I really appreciate you guys coming to my channel and watching my videos. I really do. I thank you so much. And until next time, wear your sunblock.